Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Tuck Notes, Beginner Stock Talk. Today, I'm here to talk about a interview that I watched and took thorough notes of. A friend of mine told me about a recent interview that took place between Elon Musk and a man named Chris Anderson, who is the head of TED Talk. If you're familiar with TED Talk, if you don't know what it is, it's like an educational videos of a variety of everything. And so the head of of TED Talk decided to do an interview with Elon Musk. Some of you who are watching this video probably have already seen this video, so that's cool. But I know that there's a lot of people that probably have not, and there's so much informative information in here that I want to share with all of you. And so I'm going to start it out. And basically how this goes is, just so you have an idea, there's an interviewer and he asks questions, and Elon's response is going to be there. And then there's also like like things that happened, like facts that happened in Tesla that will be mentioned. So without ado, I've taken up time. This is going to be kind of a long video, so I hope you stay to the end, because there are special cookies if you stay to the end. If you remember those cookies before in last 2021, cookies are special extra gifts to people who stay and actually listen to this video, because they could be financially helped. I don't know. So, TED Talk. What's needed to sustain? What's needed to sustain us on Earth right now? And so, Elon Musk, we need solar, sun, wind. Those are the primary generators of energy. That's one. Batteries, and we need storage, a stationary battery pack, and electric transport, which is EVs, and possibly a propellant from a rocket can be used for reusable energy. That might be another one. So all of that, what I just said, equals a full sustainable economy if we can do that, what was listed above. Now, by 2030, things will be extremely cheap. The cost of energy will be lower. But between this timeline of 2030 and 2022, it's going to be very difficult to scale up. And so here's a little bit of facts about astronomy. The Earth and Mars are extremely relatively similar in their axis. Earth is about 23.5 degrees tilted, and Mars is 24 degrees tilted. That gives 4 seasons. That's why we have 4 seasons on Earth, and so does Mars. And so there's a lot of curiosity about Mars, and we're going to get into detail. So with Earth being 70% water and land being 70% water, 30% land, what we can see in the future is, as positive, is burning fossil fuels, which toxic gases will go away, and the sky will be cleaner and more quiet because it will be electric, not gas flying planes. So this is kind of like the next part I'm going to go into is like kind of a little history of scaling of manufacturing at Tesla. So these are some stats I'm going to say. In 2014, 60,000 EVs were produced. In 2022, 500,000 EVs were produced. Pay attention to the numbers of what I say throughout this dialogue because they're important to the bigger picture of code and financing, things like that. So these are some important words for understanding for the market for potential future. And you can look them up. These are words that Elon spoke of. And there's one called a log curve. It's a very important term to look up. Another one is loca maxima, and then there's a loca minima. This is getting into kind of really mathematical equations, but it all matters to what I'm talking about. So there's two key elements that are needed to solve real AI. And one is biological neural net, and the other is vision. And so it's a possibility of solving this real world AI. I'm now going to go into the robotics part of the conversation, the interview. And the first question was, what do you exceed that of the average person? Like the probability, at what point do you exceed that of the average person? And so this will happen this year in terms of robotics and robots coming out. And his answer was a high quality vector space. Some of you might understand what that means. I don't. I tell things honestly. I'm a truthful person. I've got morals. 3, have to have memory across time and space. So the plans, you have a robot with 4 legs, and then you have a robot with 2 legs, and then robotic intelligence plus scaling up manufacturing is going to help us in our life of conscientiousness. You must be careful it doesn't turn into a dystopian kind of thing. So meaning like getting chaotic and crazy with the robots. There has to be safety regulations. Even though he hates regulations, this has to be safety regulated. So in the future, by 2050, people will have robots at their own home. All of what I'm saying, if Elon's said things in the past and they've became true, what I'm saying right now will become true. May become true. And so in the future, so here's the timeline for robotics. All right, pay attention to this part, please. This year, we will have the first prototype of a robot, and we'll all see what it is. This Optimus, that's the name of the robot. Maybe something next year. Next year, maybe we'll have something useful that we can use as a tool to help scale up. And in 2 years, we'll have it. Plus, we'll be able to see rapid growth in robotics. So, timeline, attention. Down the line, in 2 years, we'll see rapid growth year over year, and the usefulness of the robots. The cost will go down, the scaling up and production will go up. Next question. When can we buy a robot? In less than 2 years. How much is it going to cost? Less than a car. Less than a cheap car, under 50K, and then, it'll come out and be expensive first, just like the cars, and then they'll become cheaper, so maybe 20K down the line. Now we're going to talk about goods and services for what Elon's thoughts are. And so he's optimistic about the future, and it's not too far away. So the question is, will there be a shortage of labor, like less jobs for people? No, there will not be. There will actually be an abundance of services and jobs, and will be available to everyone who wants one. Some of these things I'm saying are actually what he said, Elon. There'll be a world abundance is so cheap anyone can afford to buy one. Talking about the robots still. Now, this is presumably imagine a bunch of goods and services then that can't be profitable, that can't profitably be made now, but could be made on Mars, but could that be made in that world in Mars, courtesy of an allegiance of robots? It's a question, kind of. And so it's, the answer is like, we need AI, robotics equals the age of abundance. And so to get into more, what are some dangers that can happen with this? We could see the whole world collapse and go away. Or we can, solve brain and spinal injuries. I know my interview is kind of choppy, but just go with the flow. Now, there's superpowers, dangerous. Good for ensuring a positive future is tightly coupled collective world to the digital world. Basically saying, to ensure a good positive future, you need to start understanding the digital world, because it will be going all digital, at least for the next couple of years. Well, now I'm going to jump into the topic of Neuralink. Neuralink is another company that Elon Musk has. This is getting into more of the brain and spinal cord. So Neuralink, at least a decade of solving brain and the question, so at least a decade solving brain, spinal injury. Okay, so yeah. With Neuralink, there's going to be about a decade of just solely focusing on brain and spinal injuries. Pharmacy companies, ding, 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 money, money, money. And any other robotic or type helpful healthcare services. Digital intelligence and biological intelligence together is what we want to have. In the brain, there's different parts of it. There's one called the cortex. There's one called the limbic system. And I think if you, the limbic system is what makes us happy. The cortex is what makes us think. I think and would think everyone wants to keep both of those in their head, right? So just to get an idea of Neuralink, it's a chip that will be implanted into a part of your body, and it will address either brain injuries or spinal injuries. And what does it look like? What does Neuralink actually look like? It's these tiny little wires. They're so small you can barely see them, that will be implanted into the brain. Here's another question I didn't highlight. How far away are you from putting it into humans? Answer, they've already filed their FDA application to do the first human implant this year. The next thing is the next is first uses neurological injuries of different kinds. And then the future ahead, what will it feel like to have something like that in your head? I don't know. The early stages, anything can happen. Anything's approximate. So there are many years before we'll have a higher bandwidth neural interface that allows for AI-human symbiosis. That's something that he said, and I would just Google some of those words. But the plan right now is for solely focusing on brain and spinal cord injuries, at least for a decade. So it's not going to happen really quick. This is a slow process, and we're solely focusing on brain and spinal injuries. I think I've said that a couple times now. Also restoring memory into older people that might have schizophrenia, Alzheimer's, and restore them to full memory capacity. That, and also telepathy. That's something to look forward to. That's going to happen. Now the next one is if AI took over Earth. Okay. The last time we spoke, this is the next topic about AI taking over. So last time they spoke, they talked about reusability with the rockets. This time, right, we're going to get into Starship, and we're going to know a lot more about what Starship is. But I'm going to make a second video because I think this one is going to be too long. So if you like this video, push the like button, and if you feel like you like these videos, you can subscribe to Tuck Notes. It really helps out the channel and helps out other people's interest into it too. So I'm going to end here and see you on the next one.